Good morning, students. This is session 1 of 8th standard social science, history, second unit, from trade to territory. So children, listen carefully to this session. In case of any doubts, make a note of it which shall be clarified on the day of reopening. So now, let's enter into our lesson. So in the history first lesson, that is advent of Europeans, we have seen that the Europeans mainly entered into India for trading purpose. So in the 15th century, Europe witnessed an era of geographical discoveries through land and sea routes. In 1498, Vasco da Gama of Portugal, he discovered a new sea route from Europe to India. The main motive behind those discoveries was trading purpose. So the main motive for discovery of new sea route is for trading purpose. So especially for spice trading. Then in 1600, Queen Elizabeth of England, she gave a permission to the English traders to set up a factory at India. So permission means she issued a charter. So on getting the permission, the English traders, they arrived at India. So the merchant named Captain Hawkins, he visited Jahangir's court. So Jahangir was a Mughal emperor at that time. So Captain Hawkins, he visited Jahangir's court to get permission to set up a factory at Surat. Then on getting the permission from the emperor, the British established the British East India Company in India. Then in 1717, Farrukh-i-Shiar, so Farrukh-i-Shiar is a Mughal emperor. He issued a farman giving the British East India Company the right to reside and trade in Mughal Empire. They were allowed to trade freely except for the yearly payment of 3000 rupees. This was because William Hamilton, a surgeon associated with the company, cured Farrukh-i-Shiar of a disease. So children, in 1717, Farrukh-i-Shiar, a Mughal emperor, he issued a farman. Farman means a license to trade free in India with an annual payment of 3000 rupees. So why he issued such favor means because William Hamilton, so William Hamilton is a surgeon associated in the British East India Company. He cured one type of Farrukh-i-Shiar disease. But the British misused the farman. The British misused the license given by the Farrukh-i-Shiar. Then Alivardi Khan, the Nawab of Bengal, died in 1756. So Alivardi Khan is the Nawab of Bengal. He died in the year 1756. After him is grandson Siraj-ud-Dawla. So Alivardi Khan's grandson Siraj-ud-Dawla ascended the throne. So after the death of Alivardi Khan, his grandson named Siraj-ud-Dawla ascended the throne, means he became the Nawab of Bengal. After ascending the throne, Siraj-ud-Dawla also opposed the British East India Company for misusing the farman issued by Farrukh-i-Shiar. So he decided to teach British a lesson by attacking over their political settlement at Calcutta. So what he did is, there was a small dungeon room in the Fort William in Calcutta where the troops of Nawab of Bengal, Siraj-ud-Dawla, he held 146 British prisoners of war for one night. Next day morning, when the door was opened, 123 prisoners were found dead because of suffocation. So since the room was very small, because of suffocation, the prisoners died. So he captured 146 British prisoners at Calcutta Fort William. Then on the next day when they opened the door, 123 were found dead. So remaining 23 survived. So this incident was considered as a black hole tragedy in history. So this incident is considered as a black hole tragedy in history which took place in the year 1756. So children, once again I will explain you. Siraj-ud-Dawla ascended the throne after the death of Alivardi Khan. So He opposed the British East India Company for misusing the license issued by Farrukhsiyar. So in order to teach British a lesson, he captured 146 British prisoners and he kept them in a small dungeon room, and he locked them up. So on the next day when he opened the door, only 23 survived. So remaining 123 prisoners were found dead because of suffocation. So this incident is called the Black Hole Tragedy, which took place in the year 1756. So because of this incident, the British got angry on the Nawab of Bengal. So that is Siraj-ud-Dawla. So now what happened? Followed the Black Hole Tragedy incident, Robert Clive. So Robert Clive is a Governor General in the British East India Company. He recaptured the Fort William. So followed the Black Hole Tragedy incidents, Robert Clive, he recaptured the Fort William at Calcutta. Then they signed a treaty of Alinagar. So on 9th February 1757, Treaty of Alinagar was signed between the Nawab of Bengal and Robert Clive. So treaty means an agreement, a legal agreement between the two parties. So this treaty was signed between the Nawab of Bengal, that is Siraj-ud-Dawla, and the British East India Company, Governor General Robert Clive. According to the treaty, Nawab will allow the English all the privileges sanctioned to them by Farrukhsiyar. That is, the Nawab should not interfere with the British trading policies. So second one is permit to fortify. That means the Nawab must allow the British to build forts in Bengal. Liberty to coin money in Calcutta. That means the Nawab must not interfere with the British minting system. So Farrukhsiyar, he gave a right to British to mint the Mughal coins at Calcutta. So the Nawab must not interfere in that process. So these are all the conditions mentioned in that treaty. Treaty of Alinagar, which was signed on 9th February 1757. So the Black Hole Tragedy incident is one of the main cause for Battle of Plassey. So the incident and the Treaty of Alinagar was the main cause for Battle of Plassey. So Mir Jafar. So Mir Jafar is a commander-in-chief of Siraj-ud-Dawla, became favorable for the British. So Mir Jafar is the commander-in-chief in the army of the Siraj-ud-Dawla. So who is Siraj-ud-Dawla? He is the Nawab of Bengal. So he became favorable to the British. So he joined to the British. So the Battle of Plassey, it took place at Plassey. So Plassey is a place in Bengal between the British East India Company and the Nawab of Bengal, that is Siraj-ud-Dawla. So it was fought on 23rd June 1757. So children, make a note of this. Battle of Plassey was fought between the British East India Company and the Nawab of Bengal, that is Siraj-ud-Dawla, on 23rd June 1757. So what happened? Siraj-ud-Dawla lost the battle. So why he lost the battle? Because Mir Jafar, he surrendered during the battle time. So because Mir Jafar, he joined with the British. So because of Mir Jafar, Siraj-ud-Dawla lost the battle. So children, this battle was considered as a cheating battle in history because Mir Jafar cheated the Nawab. So Mir Jafar is the commander-in-chief of the army of Nawab Siraj-ud-Dawla. Then he betrayed. So betrayed means he cheated Siraj-ud-Dawla in the Battle of Plassey in 1757. He supported the British military chief Robert Clive in the battle and refused to fight on behalf of Siraj. So considered as a traitor in history. So traitor means a cheater in history. He did this because he wanted to become the Nawab of Bengal. So he joined with British because he wanted to become a Nawab of Bengal. So he had a wish to become a Nawab of Bengal. So Britishers made him the Nawab of Bengal after the Battle of Plassey. So children, then after the loss of Battle of Plassey, Mir Jafar became the Nawab of Bengal with the British support. Then he became the puppet ruler. So puppet ruler means he have to do whatever the British orders him. So after the collapse of Bengal, the company gained a huge amount of wealth from the treasury of Bengal and used it to strengthen its military force. So the beginning of the British political sway over India may be traced from the Battle of Plassey. So it was the most decisive battle that marked the initiation of British rule in India for the next 2 centuries. So now let's see about Battle of Buxar. So after the Battle of Plassey in 1757, the company was gained undisputed right to have free trade in Bengal, Bihar and Orissa. So after the Battle of Plassey, the company got a right to have free trade in Bengal, Bihar and Orissa. Then the Mir Jafar also turned against the British. So the Mir Jafar also opposed the British for misusing the farman. Farman means the license given to them. So the British made Mir Qasim. So Mir Qasim is the Mir Jafar's son-in-law. So Mir Qasim is Mir Jafar's son-in-law. So the British made Mir Qasim as the Nawab of Bengal. Then Mir Qasim ceded means he gifted Burudwan, Midnapur and Chittagong. Burudwan, Midnapur and Chittagong to the British. Then he shifted the capital from Murshidabad to Mungyar. So he shifted the capital from Murshidabad to Mungyar. So after some time, Mir Qasim also turned against the British. So Mir Qasim also opposed the British misusage of the free farman. So farman means a license provided to them by Farrukhishar. Then Mir Qasim joined with Shah Alam II of Delhi. So the Delhi ruler was Shah Alam II. So Mir Qasim joined with Shah Alam II of Delhi and Shuja-ud-Dawla of Oudh. So Oudh is a territory. It is a place. So Mir Qasim joined with Shah Alam II of Delhi and Shuja-ud-Dawla of Oudh. Then the Battle of Buxar took place in the year 1764 at a small fortified town within the territory of Bihar called Buxar. So Battle of Buxar started on October 22nd, 1764. So the Treaty of Allahabad was signed in 1765. So in this battle, the British won over the three combined forces of Mir Qasim, then Shah Alam II of Delhi and Shuja-ud-Dawla of Oudh. So they signed, the battle ended with the Treaty of Allahabad, which was signed in the year 1765. According to the treaty, Mir Jafar was again made as a Nawab of the Bengal. So again British made Mir Jafar as the Nawab of Bengal. Then the Shah Alam II was granted the Diwani rights to British. So Shah Alam II, he granted the Diwani rights to British. So Diwani means right to collect the revenue. Revenue means the tax of Bengal, Bihar and Orissa. So according to the Treaty of Allahabad, Shah Alam II, he granted Diwani rights to the British. Then Shuja-ud-Dawla was given annual pension. So Shuja-ud-Dawla was given annual pension. So children, Battle of Plassey may be considered as a cheating battle because of Mir Jafar. But Battle of Buxar is the real victory of the British because they won over the three combined forces of Mir Qasim, then Shah Alam II of Delhi and Shuja-ud-Dawla of Oudh. Thus, the Robert Clive concluded the battle with two separate treaties with Shuja-ud-Dawla and Shah Alam II. So, the dual government system was started in Bengal by Robert Clive. So, children, the dual government system was started in Bengal by Robert Clive. So I hope you are clear with Battle of Plassey and Battle of Buxar. So now let's move on to Carnatic Wars. So in the 18th century, the three wars were fought between the French and the British for control over the coastal strip of the present-day Tamil Nadu, known at that time as Carnatic. These wars came to be known as Carnatic Wars. The Carnatic region was under the possession of the Nizam of Hyderabad. So children, now let's see about the three Carnatic Wars which was fought between the British and the French. Now let's see the time period of the three Carnatic Wars. Carnatic Wars are also known as Anglo-French War because it was fought between the British and the French. So it is also known as Anglo-French War. The first Carnatic War was fought between the time period of 1746 to 1748. The second Carnatic War between 1749 to 1754. The third Carnatic War started from 1756 and ended at 1763. So children, these are the time period for the three Carnatic Wars. Make a note of it. So now let's see one by one. So first Carnatic War. So first Carnatic War was fought between 1746 to 1748. That is for nearly 2 years. So what is the reason for this war? The main reason is Austrian War of Succession in England and France in Europe. So the main reason for the first Carnatic War is Austrian War of Succession. So there was a conflict in Austria. So Austria is a place in Europe. So there was a conflict who will be the next ruler of Austria. So the conflict was between England and France. So this is the reason for the first Carnatic War in India. So it was considered as the echo of the war was felt in India. So children, this resulted in Battle of Adayar. So Battle of Adayar was fought in the year 1746. So the Battle of Adayar is also called Battle of Santhom. So Battle of Adayar is also known as Battle of Santhom. So it was between Anvaruddin. So Anvaruddin, he is the Nawab of Carnatic region. So Carnatic is present day Tamil Nadu region. So Anvaruddin, he is the Nawab of Carnatic. So he appealed help for the British, from the British. So he appealed the British for help. So next, a small French army under Captain Paradise, they defeated the Indian army. So the small French army under Captain Paradise, they defeated the Indian army under Mahfuz Khan. So children, the main reason for first Carnatic War is the Austrian War of Succession. So in Austria, there was a conflict between the English and the France. So who will become the next ruler of Austria? So because of this, the war was fought in India. So it is the echo of the Austrian War which was felt in India. So this battle is also called Battle of Adayar or Battle of Santhom. So the first Carnatic War was won by the French. The first Carnatic War was won by the French. So the war ended by a treaty of Aix-la-Chapelle. So the war ended by a treaty of Aix-la-Chapelle in the year 1748. So according to this treaty, the Austrian War came to an end. So it brought the Austrian War to an end. And the Madras was returned to the British. In turn, French got their territories in North America. So according to the treaty, Madras was returned to the British and the French got their occupied territories in the North America. So children, I hope you are clear with first Carnatic War. So it was between the Nawab of the Carnatic. So who is the Nawab of Carnatic? Anvaruddin and the French forces. So the French won the battle and the battle was ended with the Treaty of Aix-la-Chapelle, which was signed in the year 1748. And the main reason for the first Carnatic War is outbreak of the Austrian War of Succession. So now let's move on to the second Carnatic War. So the second Carnatic War was fought between the time period of 1749 to 1754. So what is the reason for this Second Carnatic War? The main reason is succession dispute between the Carnatic and the Hyderabad. So the main reason is succession dispute. Succession dispute means who will become the next ruler of Carnatic region and Hyderabad region. So this is the main reason for the Second Carnatic War. So let's see who are all fought in this war. So in the Carnatic side, Anvaruddin. So in the Carnatic side, Anvaruddin was supported by British. Chanda Sahib was supported by French. And in the Hyderabad side, Nazir Jang was supported by British and Mozaffar Jang was supported by French. So children, make a note of this, then only you can understand the Second Carnatic War. So it was fought between the Carnatic and Hyderabad because of the succession dispute. So in the Carnatic side, the two rulers named Anvaruddin and Chanda Sahib, they had a conflict in who will become the next ruler of Carnatic. So Anvaruddin was supported by British. Chanda Sahib was supported by French in the Carnatic region. So Carnatic is present day Tamil Nadu region. Then in the Hyderabad side, Nazir Jang and Mozaffar Jang. So there was a conflict between Nazir Jang and Mozaffar Jang, who will become the next Nizam of Hyderabad. So children, in Carnatic you have to say Nawab. In Hyderabad you have to say Nizam. So who will become the next Nizam? Nizam means who will become the next ruler. So the Nazir Jang was supported by British and Mozaffar Jang was supported by French. So I hope you are clear with this. So now let's see the battle. So first one is Battle of Ambur. So Battle of Ambur was fought on 3rd August 1749. Battle of Ambur was fought on 3rd August 1749. So in this battle, the Dupleix, so Dupleix is the French Governor General, and then the Chanda Sahib and Mozaffar Jang. So these three form a grand alliance and they defeated and killed Anvaruddin. So the Dupleix, Chanda Sahib, Mozaffar Jang formed alliance and killed Anvaruddin on 3rd August 1749. So children, Dupleix, Chanda Sahib, Mozaffar Jang, they formed a team and they killed Anvaruddin on 3rd August 1749. So later what happened? Anvaruddin's son, Nawab Muhammad Ali, he fled to Tiruchirappalli fort. So he went and hidden himself in Tiruchirappalli fort. So children, after they killed Anvaruddin, Anvaruddin's son Muhammad Ali, he fled to Tiruchirappalli fort. Then automatically Chanda Sahib became the ruler of Carnatic. So we have seen in Carnatic side there are two rulers, Anvaruddin and Chanda Sahib. Anvaruddin was supported by British and Chanda Sahib was supported by French. So now the French side, that is the Dupleix, Chanda Sahib and the Mozaffar Jang, they three formed a team and they killed Anvaruddin. So automatically Chanda Sahib will become the next Nawab of Carnatic. So the French won the battle. So then Chanda Sahib gave 80 villages as a reward to French. So as a reward means to give a gift. So as a gift, Chanda Sahib gave 80 villages to French because they supported him. Then French killed Nazir Jang. So in the Hyderabad side, we have seen two rulers. One is Nazir Jang, another one is Mozaffar Jang. So Nazir Jang was supported by British. So what happened? French killed Nazir Jang. So automatically Mozaffar Jang will become the Nizam of Hyderabad. So Mozaffar Jang became the Nizam of Hyderabad. Then he gave ample of rewards to French. So he gave the gift to French. Then Dupleix was appointed as governor. So Dupleix was appointed as a governor in the Carnatic region and Hyderabad region. So Muzaffar Jang was assassinated by his own people. So later what happened? Muzaffar Jang was assassinated. Assassinated means he was killed by his own people. After his assassination, Salabat Jang, so Salabat Jang is the brother of Nazir Jang, was raised to throne by Basi. So Basi is a French general. So after the assassination of Muzaffar Jang, Salabat Jang became the Nizam of Hyderabad by Basi with the support of Basi. Basi is a French general. So as a reward, he gave North Sirkas and Guntur district to French. So Salabat Khan gave North Sirkas and Guntur district to French as a reward. And during the second Carnatic War period time, Dupleix's power was at the peak. So Dupleix's power was at the peak. Now let's see about Battle of Arcot, which was fought in the year 1751. Battle of Arcot was fought in the year 1751. So, in the meantime, Dupleix sent forces to capture the fort of Tiruchirappalli, where Muhammad Ali had taken shelter. So, we have seen in Battle of Ambur, after the death of Anwaruddin, his son Muhammad Ali, he fled to Tiruchirappalli fort. So, in the meantime, the Dupleix sent forces to capture the Tiruchirappalli fort, where the Muhammad Ali had taken shelter. So, during that time, Robert Clive used the situation. So, during this time, Robert Clive captured Arcot and was success because the French forces under Dupleix were sent to Tiruchirappalli to capture Muhammad Ali. So, during that time, Robert Clive, he belongs to British. So, he sent forces to Arcot and he captured the Arcot. Then, Clive defeated French at Arni and Kaveri Park. So again, Clive, he went to Arni and Kaveri Park and he defeated the French. Then, with the assistance of Lawrence, Chanda Sahib was killed. So assistant means help. So with the help of Lawrence, so Lawrence is a army general, he belongs to British. So they killed the Chanda Sahib. So Chanda Sahib is the Nawab of Carnatic. So they killed them. So British killed Chanda Sahib. Then he was made, Muhammad Ali was made as the Nawab of Arcot under British protection. So children, in Second Carnatic War, we have seen two battles. One is Battle of Ambur, another one is Battle of Arcot. So in Battle of Ambur, the French won the battle. Whereas in Battle of Arcot, British won the battle and they made Muhammad Ali as the Nawab of Arcot. So they made Muhammad Ali as the Nawab of Arcot. So French government recalled Dupleix to Paris. So after the defeat of French, the French government, they recalled Dupleix. So they called Dupleix to France. So this battle ended with the Treaty of Pondicherry in the year 1755. So Treaty of Pondicherry was signed in the year 1755. So as we have seen, Dupleix was recalled to Paris. So the French government, they called the Dupleix. So Godeheu became the Governor General after Dupleix. So after Dupleix, Godeheu, he signed the Treaty of Pondicherry. So what are the conditions present in the treaty is, both the powers, that is the French as well as the British, should not interfere in the internal affairs of the native state. So both the French and the British should not interfere in the political affairs of the state. New forts should not be built. So they should not build new fort, either the British or the French. The French was still powerful in Hyderabad. So we have seen Chanda Sahib was in Carnatic region. So the British killed Chanda Sahib and they got the control of Arcot. But whereas in the Hyderabad side, still the French was at the peak. So the French was still powerful in Hyderabad. So children, I hope you are clear with Second Carnatic War. So now let's move on to Third Carnatic War. So the Third Carnatic War was fought between the time period of 1756 to 1763. So now let's see what is the reason for the Third Carnatic War. So the reason is 7 years war in Europe. So there was a 7 years war in Europe because of the succession problem. Who will become the next ruler? So the war is the outbreak of 7-year war in Europe. So the Battle of Plassey, it financed the Third Carnatic War for the British. So the British gained more wealth after the victory of Battle of Plassey, and they got Diwani rights. So Diwani rights means the rights to collect the tax from the Bengal, Bihar and Orissa region. So it financed the Third Carnatic War. So they got finance from the victory of Battle of Plassey, which helped them to enhance the military troops for the Third Carnatic War. So it was again the war between the British and the French. So Count de Lally. So Count de Lally is a French Governor General. He captured the fort, St. David Fort at Kadalur. So Count de Lally, he captured St. David Fort at Kadalur. Then Count de Lally ordered Bassi to come down to Carnatic to push British away. So he ordered Bassi to come down to Carnatic. So Carnatic is present day Tamil Nadu region, to push the British away from India. So on Bassi's departure, Robert Clive sent Colonel Forde from Bengal to occupy North Sircas of Andhra Pradesh and Odisha. So on Bassi's departure, so Bassi, he came down to Carnatic region to send the British away from India. So by taking advantage over the situation, Robert Clive sent Colonel Forde from Bengal to occupy the North Sircas of Andhra Pradesh and Odisha. So we have seen that French was still powerful in Hyderabad. So the Robert Clive sent forces to capture the Andhra Pradesh. So this led to Battle of Vandewash in the year 1760. So this caused a Battle of Vandewash which was fought in the year 1760. So the decisive battle of the Third Carnatic War was fought on January 22nd, 1760. So it was between the English army under General Eyre Coote and the French army under Count de Lally. So it was fought between the British and the French. So British was headed by General Eyre Coote and French army was headed by General Lally. Then within a year, the French lost all their possessions. So Lally returned to France where he was imprisoned. So children, in the Third Carnatic War, the French was completely lost to the British. So it lost all their possessions and Lally was returned to France. So the Count de Lally, he went to France where he was imprisoned and executed. So the Third Carnatic War ended with the Treaty of Paris, which was signed in the year 1783. So according to the treaty, 7 years war ended in Europe. The French settlement including Pondicherry was given back to the French, not to fortify. That is, either the British or the French should not build any forts, and the French came to an end. The French power came to an end in India. So after the Third Carnatic War, the French dominance in India came to an end. So children, I hope you are clear with the Carnatic Wars, the 3 Carnatic Wars. So now let's see some textbook pages related to today's topic. So children, we have seen second unit, from trade to territory. So Europeans mainly entered for trading purpose. So slowly they occupied the territories. So we have seen about Vasco da Gama in 1498. He discovered a new sea route to India. Then we have seen about Battle of Plassey in 1757. So after Alivardi Khan, his grandson Siraj-ud-Dawla ascended the throne. Then To teach the British a lesson, he captured 146 British prisoners, and after on the next day when he opened the door, 123 were found dead because of suffocation. So this incident is called Black Hole Tragedy, which was caused in the year 1756, and they signed a Treaty of Alinagar in 1757. Battle of Plassey was fought on 23rd June 1757 between Robert Clive and Siraj-ud-Dawla. Then because of Mir Jafar, the British won the Battle of Plassey. And Battle of Buxar was fought in the year 1764, and Mir Jafar was made as the Nawab of Bengal by British. So again Mir Jafar opposed the British. So Mir Quazim was made as the Nawab of Bengal. So he gifted Burudwan, Midnapur and Chittagong, and then he shifted the capital from Murshidabad to Mungiar. Then again we have seen that Mir Quazim and then Shah Alam II of Delhi and Shuja-ud-Dawla, they joined forces to attack the British. But the British won the Battle of Buxar. So the battle was fought on October 22nd, 1764 at Buxar, a small fortified town in Bihar. So the British won the battle. Then we have seen about the Carnatic Wars. So Carnatic Wars, 3 Carnatic Wars, first, second and third, starting from 1746 to 1763. Then we have seen about the first Carnatic War. So the main reason is the outbreak of Austrian War of Succession in Europe. Then the battle was fought is Battle of Adayar. Then the first Carnatic War ended with the Treaty of Aix-la-Chapelle, which was signed in the year 1748. Then we have seen about the second Carnatic War. The main reason is succession problem in Carnatic and Hyderabad. Then the 2 main battles in second Carnatic War is Battle of Ambur in 1749, and it was won by French. Then Battle of Arcot, which was fought in the year 1751, it is won by British, and it was ended by the Treaty of Pondicherry, which was signed in the year 1755. Next we have seen about the third Carnatic War. It is the outbreak of 7 Years' War in Europe. So it was between Count de Lally on the French side and Robert Clive on the British side. And the main battle was Battle of Vandewash, which was fought in the year 1760, and the battle ended with the Treaty of Paris, which was signed in the year 1763. So children, I hope you are clear with this. So children, I hope you are clear with today's session. We have seen about Battle of Plassey, Battle of Buxar. So Battle of Plassey and the Buxar was the initiation of British rule in India, and then we have seen about the 3 Carnatic Wars. So now it's time for questions. So let's see some evaluation questions. So the Treaty of Pondicherry was signed in the year. Define Black Hole Tragedy. What is the reason for first Carnatic War? Dual government was formed by whom? What was the treaty signed in third Carnatic War? So children, answer all these questions in the notebook which you are maintaining for social science. In case of any doubts, you can refer the whole session video once again. So in our next class, we can see about Anglo-Mysore War and Anglo-Maratha War. Thank you.